More often than not, you'll find yourself working with other people inside of your Notion workspace. It doesn't matter if you are actually part of a team or if you're a freelancer or individual just working with others. I haven't come across a person that has never shared a resource from their Notion workspace with anybody else. But fortunately, Notion has lots of great collaboration features, both for teams and individuals, and we'll cover them in this video. On a very fundamental level, Notion differentiates between three different types of users. There are admins, which are people like you who've basically created the workspace, if you are the person that created your workspace. Then there's members, and that's something we'll cover in the next video, which has a lot to do with working with teams. And the third role is actually the guest role. And this allows you to share your Notion workspace or single pages with external collaborators. So for example, if you're working with a freelancer or you go to university and you want to share one of your exam prep documents with one of your friends, these are cases where you can use the guest role. Now, to share pages with other people in Notion, you actually just have to go up to the share menu, which is at the top of every page inside of Notion. Here you have multiple options, for example, share to the web, which we'll talk about later. But first of all, let's talk about this option down here. So this is where you can share your Notion page, the page you're currently on, with any of the people that you have invited to your Notion workspace before, or with other people that you are inviting for the first time. So up here in this field, you can actually enter any email address, and Notion will try to see if it finds an email address in their system that has a Notion account and that is associated with this email address. So if it doesn't, then they will send out a notification to that person that you are inviting them basically. And if you've invited them before, they will show up down here in this menu. So we can just add a person from there. And now we have different options for actually sharing this page with the other person. So we have these options over here, and they give the person that's being invited different levels of access to the page. So the first one is full access. This means that the person can actually view the page, they can share the page, they can comment on the page, they can edit the page, they can do anything. So they can do basically the same things as you can do. The second option would be to give them edit access, so they can actually edit the page, but they wouldn't be able to share it with other people. So again, a nice option. Then we have the can edit content option, and this is only available for database pages. So this allows people that are being invited to edit the data in the database. So the rows, add new rows, delete rows, but they won't be able to change the properties. So they can't delete properties, they can't add new properties. They can only edit the content that's currently inside of the database. And lastly, we have the can comment and can view options. Can comment is obvious, so it just means that you can comment on the page, but you can't edit anything. And can view means that you can only see the page, but you can't do anything else on the page. To invite the person, you can just click on the invite button over here, and then it will actually show up as a guest in this menu over here. The next option you have is sharing something to the web, and this is also really useful. For example, if you have a resource in your Notion account that you want to share with multiple people or basically your entire audience, for example, like a template or something else. And you can do that through enabling this toggle button up here. Now, this link is what the site will be available as. So if you copy that and send it to somebody, they will be able to see it. And you do have some additional options, like you can allow editing. So that would mean anybody basically could edit the page if they're logged into a Notion account. You can allow comments, so people can comment on the page. And the other option would be to allow other people to duplicate the page as a template. So for example, if you have a public template that you want to share with lots and lots of people, you can allow other people to duplicate it, and then they can just add it to the Notion workspace by doing that. And lastly, if you have the personal pro plan, you can also do search engine indexing. So that means the page might actually appear in the Google search results if enough people like it and it gets ranked. So you can toggle that on and off if you want to. Now, what's important when sharing pages in Notion is that you actually always just share the page that you're on. So in this case, if I share this recipes database, I'm only sharing this page with the public or with other people. So any of the other pages inside of my Notion dashboard will not be automatically shared. That said though, if the page has subpages, so in this case, our recipes, then those are shared as well. So anybody that has access to the recipes database will also have access to any of the recipes in here. And also, if we had like other pages nested inside of these recipe pages, then they would also have access to those. Now, once you've invited guests or team members into your Notion workspace or to one of your documents and pages, you will most likely interact with them in some kind of way. And you can do that easily in Notion as well, because Notion has a built-in comments feature that allows you to communicate with your guests and team members inside of documents to make changes, add suggestions, and things like this. Now, there are actually two ways to add comments. The first one is the page comments section, and you can add that through this button here at the top of every page. And this will basically add a comment thread to the entire page where you can add content. So I can just write a comment. This is a comment. I can also attach files. So I can do that through this button and then add a file. Again, let's use our puppy demo. And I could also mention a person, a date, or something like that. So maybe next Tuesday. And now I can send this and it will be added in here. And now everybody that has access to the page and has comment access to the page can actually reply to these comments and can add new comments to basically spark a page discussion. So if this was like a document, maybe like an article for our website or for our blog, then we can discuss about the article in these page comments. Besides from that, you can also comment directly on text. So if I highlight any of the sentences here, for example, I can just click on this little comment button and this will highlight the text and will allow me to add a comment. And again, this just is a comment. So if I just type this is a comment, I can add that in here. I have the same options like attaching files and mentioning other people. And I'm just adding it over here. So now you see it gets added as this little icon. Now this isn't the default. You'll probably see something that looks more like, where is it? Sorry. Like this. So the expanded option, but you have the option, as I just showed you in here, to actually make them more minimal if you don't want to have them in the sidebar. And so these comments will appear in line here. You can click on them and add comments, reply to them, and so on. All of these comments will actually show up in the comments sidebar. So this is basically where you find all the comments for any page. You can reply to them again. You can resolve them. You can see the open ones and the resolved ones. And so you can keep up to date with all the changes and all the edits and all the suggestions that were made on any given page. So this is extremely helpful if you have a huge document, like a huge blog post or like an online course outline or something else, and there are lots and lots of comments. Then you can go in here and make suggestions and make sure that everything is getting resolved properly. And that's it already for this video. In the next one, we'll take a closer look at the team-specific features. So if you're on a Notion team, you're working together with colleagues, stay tuned for the next video.